Are you scared of snakes? Well, be glad you're alive in a time where the biggest one on the planet only reaches lengths of about 30 feet or so. Yeah, only. The Titanoboa lived around 60 million years ago and weighed in at about 2,500 pounds, reaching lengths of about 50 feet. Absolute monsters. This was the kind of snake you'd see Conan battling in Frank Frazetta paintings. The way these things would have taken out their prey is similar to how modern boa constrictors do, constricting and choking their enemies to death. These things were so big and bad, they were able to consume massive-sized crocodiles whole. These massive-sized snakes have been long extinct, but that doesn't mean we don't have boas slithering around that tip the scales and come pretty close to being prehistoric in size. No, that's not an animatronic. No, you are not looking at a scene from a new Jurassic Park movie. That's an actual boa that exists in real life. What you're looking at is a 34-foot long, 990-pound anaconda that was discovered at a construction site in Brazil. I think the word discovered is a bit out of place here. Encountered, that's more accurate. That thing would have been impossible to miss. The workers had been carrying out a controlled explosion in the Belo Monte Dam in the northern state of Para when they saw this beast. They ended up having to lift it out of there with construction equipment so they could get back to work. Now, hopefully they didn't kill it. This clip here shows a pan of the boa's gigantic body though. Just unreal. I thought Titanoboas were extinct. There was some pretty exciting news in the world of serpents about 6 months back with the discovery of the northern green anaconda in northern and South America. Not only is this a newly discovered snake species, but it may also be one of the largest in the world. If the name sounds familiar to you, then you may be thinking of the southern green anaconda. In 2024, these ones were found to be genetically distinct though. Now, these boas were always known to the local Kalina people, which they called Akayima, but the species had never been documented in the scientific world. That was until 2024, when a group from the University of Queensland set out to search for them. They joined members of the Warani tribe on a 10-day expedition to find the snakes, and what they saw blew the researchers away. Just take a look at this. That is absolutely amazing. I'm very confused as to why the diver is swimming with what looks to be a private school uniform, but I digress. Anyway, biologist Brian Fry, who led the team, was interviewed about the experience, saying one female anaconda they came across was just over 20 feet long, and they were told they can get even bigger, closer to 24 feet. Ever seen that show River Monsters? I feel like this thing deserves an episode all to itself. Here we have footage of a massive-sized anaconda taken in the Santa Maria River in Brazil. Now, for some reason, the dudes in the video actually tried to grab this thing with their bare hands. First of all, that's just not cool. You shouldn't be doing that with any wild animal. Just leave the things alone. But second of all, just what in the hell were they thinking, taking their chances messing with something like this? I mean, look at that. It's so gigantic, it doesn't even look like it belongs in this time period. It's prehistorically huge. If I was floating down a river and saw that thing slithering around the water, I wouldn't even think it was a snake. My first thought would be that Loch Ness just showed up. I'd immediately think that monsters are real, my entire worldview would flip on its head, and I'd be tearing out of there long before the thought of touching it with a 20-foot pole, let alone my bare hands, ever entered into my mind. Anyway, each one of these guys rightfully ended up getting a fine for pestering the animal. How would you like to come across any boa constrictor, let alone one the size of this, slithering around right in your backyard? Well, that's exactly what happened to someone in South Florida. Tobie's Troup is a YouTube channel ran by two wildlife experts named Taylor and Rhett, who specialize in rescuing rare or fully invasive species in South Florida. They also do house calls, removing venomous snakes from people's backyards. So when they received a call about a big python in someone's yard, it seemed like it was going to be another typical day for them. What they weren't expecting to find, though, was a huge boa instead. They described it as the biggest boa constrictor either of them had ever seen. It was strange because boas aren't an established invasive species in South Florida. How it got there was, and still is, a total mystery. What you're looking at here is the largest living snake in captivity today, Medusa, a reticulated python measuring 25 feet and 2 inches long, weighing in at 350 pounds. Yes, it's not a boa. I threw on a couple big snakes that aren't boas. If that's something that's gonna ruin your whole day, then I'm sorry. Medusa is owned by Full Moon Productions in Kansas City, not to be confused with the straight-to-video horror movie production company Full Moon Features. This is Full Moon Productions. They run haunted houses. I don't think that was information any of you were asking for, and probably didn't need clarifying, but here we are. Anyway, big snake, reticulated pythons are native to Southeast Asia, and they're some of the longest snakes in the entire world. Medusa gets fed a healthy diet of rabbits, hogs, and deer on a bi-weekly basis. Staff at the Edge of Hell haunted house where she's currently housed say that she purrs like a cat when she's happy and hisses when she's angry. Ever seen a video that just makes your whole body involuntarily shudder? Just like, this is one of those videos. This is horrific. Check it out. This video was taken in India on a farmer's property. The dude came across this gargantuan monster eating one of his cows whole. Yeah, that bulge in the middle of the snake, that is an entire cow. Anyway, the farmer ended up lassoing the snake to get it off his property. I'm kind of mad I had to do this video today because I know I'm just gonna wake up at 3 a.m. with one of those gross snake nightmares, and then I'm gonna feel like there's one crawling around in my bed, and I'm gonna be all icked out for the rest of the night, and then I'll be a zombie all of tomorrow. Anyway, I'm just glad I could pass that gift on to all of you. I hope you're all glad that you clicked today. And now we truck over to Indonesia to watch a terrifying encounter with a gigantic python captured on camera. This happened on November 22nd of 2018. Now, if you're wondering why these dudes are wrestling with the serpent, they're not doing it to show how macho they are. They're not doing it for internet clout. This snake had wrapped itself around an innocent villager, and they were trying to wrestle the beast off of them. Fortunately, in the end, they were able to, but not without a serious fight. So they'd been walking by and spotted what they thought was just a log until it started moving. The snake got defensive, leading to an altercation. One guy ended up getting caught in the python's death grip, but with the help of 5 other dudes, they were able to get him free. The Cuban Boa. This snake is a real giant and one of the most impressive snakes you'll find in the Caribbean. It's native to Cuba, hence the name, and it's not just big, it's also very intimidating. These things can climb. They're semi-arboreal. Imagine that thing grabbing you from up in a tree. The Cuban Boa can grow up to 13 feet long on average, but they've been known to reach up to 18 feet as well. Like all boas, they're non-venomous and instead have a thick, muscular body that helps them constrict their prey. These boas are mostly found in Cuba's forests and swamps, and they're pretty good at blending into their surroundings. Their coloration can vary from dark brown to olive green, which helps them camouflage in the leaves and branches. This makes them very effective hunters. They usually prey on birds, small mammals, and other animals that they can overpower with their constriction. Luckily, though, they generally avoid humans and would rather hide from us than confront us. But if you're exploring the Cuban wilderness, good idea to be aware these guys are around and just give them plenty of space. They're gonna need it. Finally, though, we have the king cobra. You want scary snakes? This is a scary snake. Not only are king cobras incredibly venomous, but they can get massive too. These are the longest venomous snakes in the entire world, with the largest ones reaching lengths of up to 18.5 feet. The biggest king cobra on record, though, 19.2 feet. So you're getting the best of both worlds here, or is it the worst? You take your pick. You get the size of a boa mixed with a deadly venomous bite. So that's just great. What's even crazier about these guys is they don't even go after the type of prey you typically imagine with other snakes. You know, rodents. No, these things will often prey on other snakes, including members of their own species. That's about as cold-blooded as it gets. Animals that eat each other, just always disturbing. I don't know why nature spawns animals like this, but they do. With all that said, I've been your host, James. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.